At many community colleges, synchronous online instruction is a little bit like being stranded on a desert island. Sure, some of us had maybe thought about it before in idle moments, but it wasn't like a real possibility. Nobody planned for it. And then it happened to us, more or less by accident. Nobody asked for it, but there we all were, suddenly stuck, feeling alone, figuring out how to survive in this desolate, foreign place where we didn't know how anything worked. You know, just like the Harlem Globetrotters. When their plane had engine trouble and they found themselves on a deserted island, they thought they were on their own, but they weren't. There were people there already, people who had figured out how to survive and even thrive on this island. People who had made the island their home, built a resort, and could help the Globetrotters do what they were made to do: play basketball against evil robots. If the analogy is hard to follow, let me break it down for you. We are the Globetrotters. Playing basketball against evil robots is teaching. The desert island is the internet, and the castaways, well, those are gamers. The resort is Twitch.tv and Discord and OBS and a ton of other tools that gamers have developed to solve the exact kinds of problems we're facing right now. Of course, the comparison isn't exactly one-to-one, but video game streamers have spent a ton of time and effort and ingenuity over the last decade to help one person facilitate, interact, and share materials with a large remote audience, just like we are. Let me show you an example.
How is everybody doing today?
This is Andy Lasso. Andy streams The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past randomizer, and his stream is a great example of how streamers can interact with their audience. When a viewer shares a recent accomplishment in chat, Andy sees it and responds on stream.
Oh, heck yeah, Dubillas.
When he notices his dog is being particularly cute,
Hold on, guys.
he switches his stream layout to showcase her. That's Juno down there. She's adorable. Without getting too deep into the weeds of what a video game stream is like, I want to point out some of the ways that this both is and is not like a simple video call. I'm going to point out some key elements of the stream and then talk about how we might adapt those tools to teaching, so bear with me for a moment. Obviously, Andy has a screen share going, which is how we're watching him play the game. But since we're not here for Zelda at the moment, I'm going to take over that part of the screen. The screen share is just a part of Andy's stream though. He also has his webcam as a part of the same video feed, not in a separate window. In the lower left corner of the screen, you can see his tracker, which is where he keeps track of what items he's found in the game. Not something we're likely to need to do in the average class, but all of these things are highly configurable and can be easily changed on the fly as needed.
Hope you're all doing well. We're gonna do a practice.
The chat window you see on the right is a part of the Twitch interface, but the one on the left is a part of the video feed, which means that people participating on mobile get to see the chat, the screen share, the tracker, and Andy's face all at the same time.
Seeing as I have a tournament race tonight, I don't want to do.
He also has a bot in his channel with pre-programmed commands to answer frequently asked questions. When a viewer asks about the music he's using, which is not the standard soundtrack for the game he's playing, someone else in the chat enters a command and the bot provides an explanation. I'm going to speed Andy up here for a few minutes so that you can see the next thing that I want to show you, which happens a little bit later in the stream. During the stream, someone subscribes to Andy's channel, meaning in this case they give Andy some money. Here's what happens.
Medallion's not a weapon because we can't even use it. Omega Gaming. Thanks for the 5 months of Prime. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
An animation and sound effect plays, and Andy is able to respond to it by thanking the new subscriber. He's chosen to allow this kind of interaction to provide a minor interruption to get his attention, which helps him notice the interaction and decide when and how to respond to it. Just imagine what this might look like for a class. Somebody asks a question in the chat. First, people have the chance to just respond to it. Maybe somebody else has the answer. Maybe you notice it in chat and answer right away. Or maybe not. Maybe it's an important question that other people in the chat have. So maybe somebody reposts the question with an exclamation point or something. You get to choose the syntax. And then an animation plays, and you get notified. Somebody has a question. Some streamers even use text-to-speech so that for certain tags, the question is actually read out loud to you during the lecture. None of this is mandatory. Andy has it set up to work like this because that's the way that he wants it. But these are the kinds of things that we might do to add other pathways of interaction for our students. Hopefully you can see how there's a lot of possibility here. Tools for working with students that make it easier for them to interact with us in our synchronous online classes in multiple ways. I myself haven't found ways to incorporate all of these tools yet, but what I have done has been enough to make synchronous online instruction possibly my favorite way of teaching.
Oh my god.
Here's what my own synchronous online classroom looks like.
What did you guys notice about the way that they told that story?
I would say that they more or less just missed each other, but accepted that they were too far away.
You'll notice that I have my students' audio routed through my stream so that I can get their voice chat alongside my own voice. You'll notice that I have a Pages window, a word processor, that I'm basically using as a digital whiteboard to take notes on the things that my students say in class. In the lower right, you can see my chat. I'm not using Twitch chat, I'm using Discord, which is a different tool, but it's the same idea. It allows the students who are watching on video to see what's going on in the chat, and it allows students who aren't comfortable speaking out loud or who don't have mics to share their feedback via text. My favorite example of this is I once had a student, I think in the section that we're looking at now, who would watch the class on her couch, watching Twitch on her PlayStation, and who would have Discord open on her phone, and who would use Discord to interact with the class. That's definitely not the way I usually imagine students interacting with my class, but it worked well for her and it worked fine for the class. It's not a thing that I could have done if all we were using was Zoom. Because I am streaming this to Twitch, you'll notice that I also don't have names appearing in my chat on screen. I have the students use their names on my Discord so that I know who's who, but I have that filtered out for the chat that actually goes on the stream so that students' identities are protected. I'm only doing a fraction of what somebody like Andy is doing, but it wasn't that hard to set up. I'm using the webcam that's built into my laptop, which is why I'm at kind of a funny angle and I look a little bit frumpy. I'm using the microphone on my headphones. Everything that I'm doing is with stuff that I already had, using tools that already existed. It took a little bit of setup to get going, but it wasn't that hard. And it allowed me to have a completely different way of interacting with my synchronous students. In this series of videos, I'm going to be showing you how to use some of these tools. And the most important thing I want to say about it right now is that you are never going to see another video like this in this series again. I'm approaching this video kind of like a video essay. I'm using pre-recorded stuff. I'm scripting my comments. I'm manually editing all the lines. I'm using lots of animations. I'm re-recording everything. I've even conscripted my wife as a production assistant and director. And that's just a ton of work. And for those of you who are recording lectures, it may feel like you're doing that for every single class. But that's the other great thing about synchronous online instruction, especially using tools like these. We don't have to do that. The rest of the videos in this series are going to be a lot more casual because I'm going to be using the same tools that I'm using to stream my classes to make these videos. They won't be quite as polished, but they'll be way easier to make. The tools that I use to stream my online classes make it extremely easy to generate video that my students then have access to. And in fact, because I don't have a synchronous section this semester, some of the videos I made in my summer class last year are still getting used to introduce concepts to students this semester. Even though I can't interact with them synchronously right now, they still get the benefit of watching other students interact with the ideas live. These tools are easy to use, they're powerful, they can allow us to do stuff that is way cooler than what Zoom allows us to do. And I hope what you'll take away from this series is some ways of using these technologies to dramatically improve your synchronous online instruction. So let's get to it, folks. We've got a big job ahead of us.